Hi guys, my name is Megan and today I've got some emotionally devastating queer books for you. Alright, so today we're talking about some of the most emotionally devastating books for me that I feel like you guys would really enjoy. So these are books that you should read if you definitely want to cry a little bit, or if you just want to have some big feelings about some books. These are definitely ones that I would recommend. So let's go ahead and just dive right in. Okay, first up I'm going to recommend Honey Girl. This is such a good book. This is following Grace Porter, who is a millennial who has just gotten her doctorate, and she goes to Vegas to celebrate with her girlfriends and ends up accidentally married to a girl that she doesn't know, and they have their one night together and they go their separate ways. And then they kind of start learning about each other from long distance, and they decide that they want to see if they can make it work. This is the book to read if you're having a quarter life crisis, or that millennial I don't know what to do with my life help kind of a thing. This is the one to read because Grace is going through that and working through that, and just the relationships between the family, the friends, the girlfriend / wife is so amazing. And this is the one to read if you're looking for those quarter life crisis catharsis book. This is the one to read. Next up I have Unhinged. This is the first book in the Necessary Evil series. This one is a dark romance, and I would highly recommend checking out all of the trigger warnings before diving into these books, especially this one in particular. This is one to read if you want a really good cry, because this one is very dark. The Necessary Evil series is following a family of psychopaths, all adopted by Thomas Mulvaney, who is adopting them as his kids, but also because he's running an experiment to see if he can tame these psychopathic tendencies in his children and put that into effect for other people or other kids that have been diagnosed with psychopathy. Anyway, each book is following one son, and they're kind of falling in love. Each of these books ends up being really sweet in their own ways, but also they are psychopaths and they do kill people, so please check trigger warnings before diving into this series. But this one is one to read, especially this first book. If you want a really good cry, this is one to check out because it is dark. Next up I have something a little bit lighter, and that is All Hail the Underdogs. This is the third book in the Breakaway series, but this one you can definitely read as a standalone. It's not necessary that you need to read the first two books, which you do need to read together. So you don't need to read those to know much going into this one. This is following Patrick Roman, who has been offered a hockey scholarship at one of the top boarding schools that turns out athletes. And he is getting legally emancipated from an abusive father, and there's a whole lot of family stuff going into this, but it's also following Damien Bordeaux, who is a senior there and is also on the hockey team. Let's see, so they have kind of a not great meet cute, and they keep clashing, they keep butting heads about things, and they also kind of start realizing that they might have a little bit of a feeling thing going on for each other. It's also dealing with Damien's adoption and how he doesn't want to disappoint his adopted parents by going and looking for his birth family, but also how these two are swirled together with a mix of emotions and coming together and trying to figure out where they stand with each other, but also trying to unlearn a lot of things that they have kind of been taught, or misconceptions they had about each other. This is one to read if you definitely want a good cry, because it's so sweet, and these two are just, after they stop being stupid, they're so sweet to each other, and just, it's so good. And it's one that I would highly recommend. I actually do have a book review for the first book that I will leave linked up in the corner if you guys are interested, but this is so good. Next up I have Summer Sons. This is one that is kind of a southern gothic horror book. So this is following Andrew, who is dealing with the sudden loss of his best friend / adoptive brother / maybe something more. Andrew's not dealing with that very well, but also there's a supernatural element to this where Andrew can see spirits, and there's a whole supernatural thing, and it's not good. And he keeps seeing the ghost of his best friend in his car, and also this deals with him going to clean out his best friend's room at the house that he bought when they were going to college, and Andrew is starting his college at the same college, and dealing with his roommate and the fast cars, and it's a lot. But also there is a underlying romance that is just really compelling and just really fucked up. And this book is fucked up, but in all the ways it makes you want to keep reading because it will draw you in and just not let you go. And it will leave you emotionally drained by the end of this book. And it's so, so good because it just pulls you one way and then pulls you the other. And then it's just so, so good. And then the last of my emotionally devastating books that I have to recommend is going to be The Sunshine Court. This one, I would definitely recommend reading the rest of the All for the Game books before you dive into this one because you kind of need the context for those books before you dive into this one, because this book is following a side character from the first 3 books, and this is one of the most emotionally devastating books that I think I've ever read. It's so dark, and the things that you learn in this book that make up a lot more context for the first 3 books is so, like, overwhelming, and just, you want to just sit there and cry and scream and, like, throw the book against the wall, but you can't because you want to keep reading and finding out more of these things. So this one I would definitely recommend reading All for the Game before diving into this book series and before diving into this one in particular, just because you need the context for what's going on in this one. But oh my god, if you've read All for the Game, this one will make you cry a lot more than any of the other 3 books in the series. Anyway, those are some of the emotionally devastating queer books that I read recently or like really, really loved. What is an emotionally devastating book for you guys? Let me know down below. If you guys like this video, don't forget the like button. If you haven't already but would like to, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. And if you'd like to follow me on social media for more bookish stuff, check out the links down below. Alrighty, bye guys!